Hiya guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another one of our, I don't know what they are now, like old men's meetings, I guess. Except for Clive, who's like a young, I don't know, he's about 50 something, ain't you? 40 something, I don't know. Look at him.
Oh,
Gorgeous.
I'll be 16 January.
Bloody hell. I'll have to get a bit of them. You look about bloody 40 with you got your choppers in. So there's Clive, look, and there's we've got Pete with us, and we've got Dave Pegg as well. So we're all here.
And I'm 66
Okay,
in two
congratulations.
weeks
Well done.
2 weeks time. 2 weeks time.
Oh, you won't
What
get your
day?
pension
What
yet.
day, Dave? What
Put it
day?
in.
Third, third Tuesday the 30th of December.
Oh my word, happy birthday to you, mate. We'll
You
see
won't get.
before.
You've had your pension pushed back, ain't you?
I get my first pension payment on January the 28th. So I was all right. I just got in on
Oh, you
six
got in.
dead on 66.
No, you
Well
got.
done.
Anyway, we started talking about COVID last week. I think was it last week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it seems like ages ago, doesn't it? And because so much has been going on, obviously, with all the stuff in the project and Christmas is coming and blah 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 blah, and blues have been like upsetting a few people, and people have been trying to sell their raffle ticket trainers on the site and all stuff like that. So to drag ourselves back 5 years and put ourselves back into the COVID situation, I'd be quite nice, really. I'd love a little bit of bloody peace and quiet right now, but of course, at the time, it wasn't quite like that, was it? And you were just
Well,
saying, Clive, that like from what your thoughts on it were that you actually sort of said that like loneliness and the COVID thing sort of go arm in arm. Pete's just only just come through the door from work, so just you take a minute or two, Pete. You can carry on, son. Do what you're doing.
yeah, I would say, because this country, along with a lot of other countries, we neglect the elderly people in this country, the people who are getting on and everything. So, COVID is not really something that people have never experienced. Another word for COVID could be loneliness, where people don't visit elderly people or things like that. Now, in some times, I love being on my own sleep. I love my own space. I love being shut off from the world and
Yeah, I
not
do.
answering phones. But so, but in COVID, when you're forced, when your hand is twisted, and you were risking fines, illnesses, etc., etc. It was a different ball game altogether.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there's obviously two. I mean, I know what you're saying about the loneliness thing, but I think the thing was that you couldn't visit anyone even if you
No,
wanted to. So that was like one of the major things. Because I remember when it first happened, I was seeing this. I was seeing this particular young lady, and she only lives like I don't know 10 minutes in my car away from me. And I said it'd be all right, like I'll just come and stay the night at yours. You come over, stay the night at mine. I said, oh, you won't be able to. You can't mix households, and also you won't be able to go out and drive to mine. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. I thought to myself, this is fucking serious, isn't it? It
yeah.
never really hit home until she said that, and I thought, Jesus, I'm just gonna be sitting here on my own.
Mhm.
It hit me, Steve, when my mom had a stroke the year before. And after rehab and everything, she'd gone into a lovely nursing home, 4 acres in Studley, which is where she lives. And she knew so many people there. And I used to go and visit her because I work from home. I could go on it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and they had an open coffee morning. And used to go in there, and honestly, it wasn't like an old people's home. It was like going into a bloody youth club. The noise, the amount of chatter going on, and
A
everything,
shame you're
and
married. You could have pulled there. That's the sort of
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bit
yeah.
like the
What's that?
breaks, Pete.
But
That sounds, doesn't
the
it?
thing is, I knew so many people there, and Mum was having a great time, and then suddenly, bang, lockdown, and
Yeah.
then the visits were, um, I could go and park up, tap on a window. So okay, in the first lockdown, it was summer, and she'd have the window open. I'd be stood there with a mask on. She'd be sat well away from the window, and talking to each other like that. And that was just weird. And then come the winter, I used to just stand outside the window so she could see me because she didn't want the window open and getting cold. And I'd ring her mobile, and I'd stand outside, and we'd be talking to each other on the mobile just so she could see that I had come round to see her. And that was horrible.
Isn't it, when you think about it?
It was horrible, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
We went on to she then later got breast cancer, and she had to go into a nursing home in Stratford. And that was when we were in sort of one of the partial lockdowns. So you had to have your COVID test every morning, ring the home up, tell them what the result was. And they say, yeah, you can come and see her at
So
10
could you
o'clock.
lie about that if you wanted to?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. But anyway, then you'd go and you show them on the
Yeah,
phone.
but I
your
mean,
COVID.
could you? So they didn't say bring the
Yeah,
test along and we'll do it there, or
no,
when you come in, have a
no,
test.
no,
Well, that's just
no.
bullshit, then, isn't it?
It
I
was
mean, so
silly.
the whole thing then is just faulty, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
yeah.
you're
But,
someone
but
that doesn't believe in the whole COVID thing. You're not going to take the test and you're going to say you had it. So there you go. You go in. You could kill everyone in the home, couldn't you?
it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to see it on your phone because you got the result back on your phone as well. So I suppose that was some sort of check. But you could have used anybody's bloody name again to
Bullshit, the whole
test.
thing. Wasn't
So you do that, and then you have to gown up, mask up, and it was only, think at the time, only 2 people were allowed to visit at a time. So you'd sit in a room and you had to be well away from her, no touching, no. Well, I used to go and see mum, and mum say, negative COVID, yeah, you negative COVID, yeah. She said, take your bloody mask off, give us a kiss. and,
Yeah.
and shut the door. Shut the
Mhm.
door. She said, nobody knows. She said, because they have to knock the door before they come in. If they
it? Yeah,
knock
I
the
just
door,
think
put your mask on.
it was funny because in one of our classes this morning, I sort of mentioned to the group that we were going to do a talk on COVID this evening on the CIC, and one of the ladies said, "Oh, I'm going to go and have my COVID and flu jab today." I thought, "What?"
Mm-hmm. I'm having mine Saturday with COVID one.
And you having it, are you?
Yeah. I'm having just to touch on a point what you just said, Steve, and you kind of said as well, Dave. Um, how true during the middle of this epidemic, like how honest you had to be. As Dave said, you could have shown anybody's um, negative kind of thing. I mean, if you go back years, people literally got away with murder when people were giving DNA samples. There's numerous amount of cases where people asked their friends to do their DNA for them so it didn't go to the police. I mean, there was a big case when I lived in Leicester where a gentleman never got tried for murder for many years because he got his friend to go and do a DNA check, and all he has to do is give me his name. It's like me saying, "Oh, what's your name?" "Oh, Pete Hannon. You can take my
Yeah, you get
DNA for
arrested
me."
straight
And
away.
yeah,
You get
and
arrested
Peter
straight
goes,
away.
yeah, and Peter goes, "I'm Clyde Murphy." "Oh, okay then."
Here's your
It's
new
not you.
teeth.
I t- I,
But I
I,
think,
t- I,
like when you
I
when you
t-
look at the whole thing, they're just making it a bit of a bigger picture there, in saying
Yeah.
about the police and lying and that, Listen, there's no bigger bloody liars and fraudsters than the police at times.
Mm,
That they misrepresent themselves when they stop and ask people for details when they haven't got the right
yeah.
to do it. They make laws up that aren't there. They arrest people and search them for
Yeah.
absolutely no reason. And that's why no one trusts the police.
Yeah.
90% of the police are probably absolutely brilliant, but you just take the Wayne Cousins kind of people out of the
Mhm.
police force, and there's always a bad apple somewhere. But when police refuse to identify themselves,
Mhm.
I forget how recently Wayne Cousins raped and murdered a young innocent woman.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the same
Oh,
sort of,
If we go back to the COVID, I'll tell you how honest I was,
yeah, good
Clive.
idea.
My my my, my wife tested positive just before Christmas. So then we had to go off to Alexander, the athletic stadium in Redditch, to have the proper test done,
mhm.
and they were sent away. And it's like, what was it, 10 days isolation or something stupid? And my wife was proper poorly, so she slept and ate downstairs, and I was sleeping and eating upstairs. As I've just said, my birthday's the 30th of December, and I always go out to celebrate my birthday to the local pub. And I thought, well, I can't because I might be infected. Well,
Mhm.
bugger me. On New Year's Eve, so the day after my birthday, her test came back inconclusive. So I could have bloody gone out. I mean, I could
Yeah.
have gone out anyway. I could have gone out anyway because I felt absolutely fine. But I knew there were older people that went in that pub, and I didn't want to
Mhm.
infect them. So
Mhm.
I have to say, I still went to Morrison's to get me beer.
But it's like now, and would that stop you going in a pub now if you got a touch of the flu about you, for
Nah,
fear of killing old
no,
people? Would you? Would it? It wouldn't bother
no,
me.
no,
And I
no.
don't mean that I don't want to kill any old people. Of course I don't. But I ain't gonna like lock myself in my house because I got a bit of flu or a bit of a cough.
No, we never do. Can I just say something before I forget this? Now, this has got nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's addressed to Peter. Um, I'm not suggesting for one moment it has more involvement than you, Steve, or Dave. It's regarding Justice for 21. Is it okay to bring it up or not at the moment, Steve?
I don't mind
Okay.
because there's something that I'm going to touch on a bit anyway, as regards the COVID inquiry and the scope of it, which
Oh,
will encompass that a little bit.
okay, and Pete. What it is? I was only a very young man. I was 16 at the time of the bombings, and my dad had a lot of hassle because of his second name being Murphy.
Yeah.
But as for another day, he carried on. It was nothing terrible and all that. What with Mrs. Amble, it's Ambleton's, I forgot her first name, Margaret,
Julie.
Julie Amble. What are there, again, Peter, please, you don't have to answer this, Peter. What were their views of the Birmingham Six?
They're,
The,
they were the same as everybody else at the
yeah,
time. They'd done such a good job on everybody. These are the
yeah.
people in it. You just wish that they'd have flipping hung them there and then. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's for another another thing you could go into, isn't it? It's a good job they didn't really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um, but that was the narrative they was told, and it was an era that if the police had said something, you believed them.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when the Birmingham Six got released, there was the whole thing about the police said we're not looking for anybody else
Mm-hmm.
in connection with it. Well, to someone who'd been brought up for 15 years thinking that these people had done it,
Yeah,
that's saying, well, they have done it, and that's why they're not looking out for anybody
yeah,
else.
yeah.
And there's still so many people today, even though the evidence is all out there, to saying they did it.
Yeah, I
But
was about to say that, Pete, because when we were, as you probably know, Clive, Pete and I have done a fair bit of, the group has done a
Yeah,
lot of, lobbying for this and that and the other, like with the
yeah,
blue
yeah.
bitter and all that sort of stuff. And I was nervous at one point because I put something in the group about the Birmingham Six being falsely uh, convicted, And then there was a big kickback on it. People coming back saying, well, like we still think they did it, blah, blah, blah. And there was something else I put in about I think it was Shane McGowan or something. And that
Yeah.
kicked a load of stuff, like fucking, IRA supporter, blah, 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 And I think it's like, although it is political, you have to sort of walk away from the political aspect of it if you can. It was 21 murders, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason they murdered the people for, all we wanted to do was get the murderers, it wasn't a political point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that always bothered me because one, there's hundreds of people who were affected. Okay, it was 21, but it was hundreds of people affected with them deaths. Heartbroken. Never.
I'll tell you a way of looking at this, Clive, right? And I did this, and I said this to Julie once, and I forget it, I was looking at someone's house, and they'd done one of these massive group of family photos, like about 30 people, like the parents, the 4 kids and their kids and their kids. And so you can imagine what, like, that family photo, how much it would have differed if you just took out 1 or 2 of the initial people from the parents. So you got the parents in the photo, and then you got, here's the one child that was murdered, and here's 2 that weren't. So the photo just with the 2 that weren't murdered is going to be fairly big. But then when you put the other older daughter into the mix, her husband would be there, probably kids, probably another 4 or 5. And so that family photograph would be probably a third less without the murdered person. So if you look at it that way, it's actually affected thousands of people. Because you've got that times 21.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's the same that goes with the people in Liverpool. It's also going to be the same as those people in Bondi Beach, or those people who live in Australia or who were visiting Australia on that particular day. These tragedies are going to affect them until the day they die.
Yeah, and the bad thing about it, I'm sorry, Pete, just quickly while you're saying
Sorry,
that,
Pete. Sorry, Pete and Dave.
well, is that it's a bit like the IRA killing in Birmingham in a way, where the people that actually committed the crime, all right, it was definitely them,
Yeah.
but they didn't pick out, for instance, out of all those Israelis there, they didn't pick out Netanyahu supporters. They didn't. They just killed them because they were Israelis. And that's exactly what happened in Birmingham. And they didn't even kill just English people in Birmingham. Not because they were Israelis. They killed them because they were Jews.
Yeah.
So, although some of those people may have been sympathetic towards the Palestinian cause, they may, and a lot of Israeli people are anti-Netanyahu because of the whole October the 7th thing, and the lack of Israeli response, and the thoughts behind what might have happened there without probably guessing too much. Do you know what I mean? So all of these things.
I've got to be, you see, the reason I wanted to, whether I was going to do it privately with Peter, I know Peter's been involved with this, so I'm sure you have, Steve. I'm not being rude to anybody.
No, you're not. Pete's got a lot more to do with it than I have.
And since coming to, obviously, I've known about the Birmingham bombings, and unfortunately, for many years, I thought even as a young man, unfortunately, the title of the bombings was always the Birmingham Six, the Birmingham Six, the Birmingham Six, and how that played on the minds of all these families and innocent people when you could sit your television 9 o'clock of the night, and the headline was, and the problems in Birmingham regarding the Birmingham Six are the lives that have been lost. That was the song. I thought how heartbreaking it was for them families. And the last point, anyway, for me on this, is the only way I found out and learned about the togetherness, the solidarity, the care, and everything is through the project. Pauline Ambleton, the likes of Pete Annan, and different people like that, they pointed to the forefront.
Actually,
and
Clive,
made
you know,
people
Paddy
aware.
Hill, who was one of the Birmingham Six, become very supportive
Yeah.
of the Justice Group afterwards, and did a lot of work with Julie, didn't he, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm bringing it back with the COVID thing now. So the inquiry that's going on, it's actually got 10 modules, and the 10th module, the 10th and last module, is actually going to be looking at how people were affected. I.e., they call it, what is it, the frontline people and that stupid key workers. That we went into that last week about how ridiculous a name that is to say somebody's more important than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is about the scope of the inquiry. So for each module, they set down what scope they can talk about, which basically means that, you know, it's come out as if we all didn't know about all them people who've made money buying flipping shit PPE.
Yeah.
But there's no consequences, and it was the same as what we had when we were fighting. This wasn't even for the public inquiry, for an inquest. They narrowed the scope of what we could talk about that much. They were saying, "Oh, yeah, we can talk about what happened, but we can't talk about who put the bombs there." So, you know, that's another story that we had to go.
It's subjective, really, doesn't it? And I don't think it's so much a story of like those individual things, like the COVID inquiry and the scope of discussion, but or the scope of investigation. It is more about what happens in an inquiry, isn't it? And how can it be called an inquiry when it actually has so little scope? You know, you may
Well,
as well say like Donald Trump's just released all the stuff for what's his name? What's his name?
Epstein.
Epstein. But it'd
Yeah,
be like saying, okay, you look at anything but nothing involving Donald Trump. It would be that sort of thing, you know, because all the government are saying is, listen, you can look however you like, providing it doesn't involve any of us or get us in the shit, you know, because what happened in COVID with the PALS Act and all that shit is absolutely
yeah.
disgusting. They should be sent to prison for life. I don't know about anything else. How many deaths did they cause by giving people contracts for PPE they didn't know what the hell they were doing?
I couldn't agree more with that. You know, but going back to the whole insanity, I don't know what it was like in Spain, but we built these things called Nightingale hospitals, which they were never used. Well, the only way that they were used to scare people shitless. They're saying like, you know, that we can't cope with how many people are coming into hospital and everything. Therefore, we need this extra capacity. But they were having extra capacity, but they were sacking nurses who refused to have a jab. Now,
Yeah, it was
you
mad,
know,
really.
Yeah,
Was it
I
Spain?
I know I know my wife's got a friend who was a nurse at the time, and she refused to have the jab. I don't know why, but she refused, and they didn't actually sack her. but she was threatened with it, but she stuck to her guns. She said, "I'm not having it." So they said, "Okay, you're going to have to go to wherever they sent her to." But she wasn't doing the job that she was trained to do.
The thing that happened in Spain, which is what Pete was just talking about along those lines, is that you know, for us, they really had you over a barrel in Spain. So really, it was like when you were saying, Pete, about you know, and Dave about you can't check, you can lie if you want. You couldn't lie here. If you go, we had to go to our shopping to our nearest supermarket. If you were stopped and you'd gone past your supermarket, €200 fine if you went to another one. Stuff like that. They were so strict. You couldn't go out. You just couldn't go out, and that's the gospel truth. You wouldn't believe it. But you know,
I
we
used to,
endured it. And the other thing was, with regard to the jabs. Now, I wouldn't have had one jab. I honestly wouldn't have. But I had to have two jabs to work. So they were saying you don't have to have your jab if you don't want. But Steve, if you want to go to work and open the gym, you've got to have two jabs because you work in the public. You got to have the first and the second one. I didn't have any more than the two I absolutely had to have. But that's not a choice, is it? That's not really a choice of whether you have it or not. That's
Well,
making you have an injection, isn't it?
the
we, we,
supermarket one's the supermarket one's an interesting one, Steve, because I went Morrison's is a mile away from me, and me and the wife used to go to Morrison's every day. That was sort of that was our time out, if you like. And they also said there was a thing about what was it, exercise. You only allowed out for half an hour, was it? I used to go out with my camera round Arrow Valley Country Park. I'd be out for 2 hours. Who's going to?
You wouldn't.
And
You would have been arrested in Spain
the
for that. You
well,
would have
and
been
the thing
arrested.
is, the thing is, Steve, the reason I was going out for 2 hours, I used to do my usual route, and it was getting that bloody busy. I was going further and further and further off, and it didn't matter what bloody field you went into. There'd be people out there walking just to get
Well,
their fresh. And
it
the, and
shows the
and
difference, you know.
yeah, and the stupid thing was, um, there's a big fishing club at Arrow Valley Lake in Redditch. Fishing was banned. Fishing was banned. Now, you, if you've, I've never been a fisherman, but I've observed the fishermen around there, and they sit on their fishing pegs, and they don't want anybody around them. They just want peace and quiet, tranquility, and see if they can catch. Some of them aren't even that bothered if they catch a fish. They're just looking out over the countryside, and they banned fishing, which is a solitary. It's a solitary sport. It was ridiculous.
What were you going to
we,
say?
you know, I was on about, you know, they're saying you had to have two jobs before you could work. I mean, there's all the big fuss and everybody kicking off now about digital ID. Um, I'm sorry, but that was practically what it was like in the COVID thing, because we had to have a COVID app to prove that we'd had our
Yeah.
jabs to be able to work. You know what I mean? So it's just a continuation of that. It's already been brought in. Um, Funny, Dave, you're on about the with the fishing and everything. Some of the crazy things that he had. So my lad was into playing cricket. He just got into it. He got a great talent for it, but he was sort of like only young in the time. But they banned cricket for young kids because they're saying that the cricket ball could be a vector. I'd always remember it, the flipping Boris Johnson there. Yeah, the cricket ball is a vector to transmit COVID. Um, there's another thing that how many hours did it take that bloke to do his hair into making it into a mess? It's almost like it's to send a subliminal.
Getting personal now.
But you know what I mean? It's meant to send a subliminal message that here's this bloke getting torn here, there, and everywhere and flipping in a mess. It takes sort of like 30 seconds to comb your hair. He's the fucking Prime Minister, for God's sake. And there he is, being all this, you know. Yes, you can't, you know, children can't play cricket because the cricket ball might flipping transmit the disease.
Meanwhile, back in a partying Downing Street.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
The glass of
well,
wine's not a vector.
You've got to be aware when something new comes out, which no one knew about, so we think, no scientist knew anything about, no medical expert knew about. It's a bit of a thing to tackle. Now, if anybody's seen my posts, you'll know that I'm not a conservative.
Yeah.
I think you might know that. I'm very left to politics, so I'm very against. I'm against this government as well, funny enough. But it was a new illness out there where there weren't enough research about it. Well, they didn't know nothing about it, so it was a guessing game, I think.
Yeah.
So
Can I ask you a question, please? You say you're going to have your COVID, another COVID jab, yeah?
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think that COVID jab is for?
Oh well. What I've been told, Peter, is it's not a COVID jab for people under 75. Well, I'm not under 75, Pete. Believe it or not, I'm not under 25. I'm sorry, I'm over 20. I'm not under 75. But because of what I've gone through, this is only what I'm being told now, and you have to show a bit of trust in what I say. It's because of my operation around my mouth, etc., they think I'm worthy of a COVID jab, even though I'm not 75 or over, and to have it done too. The reason I'm assuming, this is naughty Kai, I'm assuming that I'll be someone who's got a bit more protection against COVID, as I say, maybe you, Dave, Steve, I'll perhaps have more of a resilience by having it.
So you reckon that the jab stops you catching COVID?
We can talk about any medical kind of thing in society, whether you have the flu jab, whether you have this jab, that jab. But yeah, I'll answer the question. Yes, I think it will build up my antibodies and potentially nothing's 100% enough. Nothing's 100% enough, but I have less chance of getting COVID than somebody who doesn't have it. I'm not saying I won't get it, but I might have less chance, Peter.
No.
You know,
Okay, look.
the interesting thing for me as well, Pete, because you brought this up last week, and I knew about it, but I just forgot about it. That like Sweden and Iceland didn't have anything, any sort of jab or quarantine at all.
No. It's the whole thing about. I think people think, oh well, if I have a jab, I won't get it, and then you hear that they put this bullshit out about protect Granny at Christmas.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't stop you passing it on to somebody. You don't suddenly have this sort of like haze around you by having a jab that stops you passing, either A, catching it, or B, stopping it. Now I want
Pete, I'm with you all day long.
Sorry, Clive.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah. At the moment, the latest thing, hospitals are overwhelmed. Oh, aren't they all the time?
Yeah.
At this time of year, it's the flu epidemic, but they keep mentioning the COVID thing as well, don't they? Like the flu. So there was this mass thing: have your flu jab. So the actual components of the flu jab are made from the virus from last year. So you've had and I've had it, and I've had me jab because I quite fancied the nurse. That was the only reason I did. But and I got a biscuit. Yeah, but you know what I mean. So you have the flu jab, but you still get the flu and you still feel shit because it's a different strain.
Mm-hmm.
What they're
Out
injecting
of
you is
interest, why did you have that jab? Did you have to have it?
because I fancied the nurse.
No, I mean honestly, was that it?
No, they almost like slightly. You could say it was peer pressure.
Uh-huh.
Because being in the hospital and everything, and
Hospital theatre sort of thing.
you know,
It's obviously, it all depends on your immune system. We're all different. We're all
yeah,
different. You could give 10 people, because how many people say, oh, I had that food jab on Saturday. My word, I was bloody bad on Sunday with the food. It all came out on me on the food. One, nothing is perfect in life. Two, it's only science. That's all it is. It's a science. And my word, I believe more in science than I do religion. So, where if it's religion, I don't tend to go down that road. If it's science, yeah, I might believe it. And if somebody said to me, Clive, especially if you have a food job, again, it depends how your health is. Someone, I would say, someone like Steve Trenier in Spain wouldn't really need the food job, because I'm not trying to big you up here, Steve. Is you're a thick kind of character. I know you come across people and you bump into people, but your system is so strong and so where I don't go on a 2 mile run every day or do 30 press ups. So I'll be perhaps more likely to get diseases than you would say, I think.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that, like, you know, being fit definitely
Yeah,
helps you in terms of you know, your immune system, and apart from that, obviously it makes you more mobile, and generally, like, the older you get, the more exercise you do, definitely the better it is for you. You
yeah,
know, like mobility, just for mobility and what we call QOL, you know, like quality of life, really important.
yeah.
But you know, like what Pete was saying there about the jabs and that. I mean, you do have to put, and it's funny, Clive, that you were like for the jabs and everything, and put your trust entirely into a government that you just hate.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm perhaps putting my trust in bypassing them who use their friends to do things. I'm
Yeah,
perhaps
well,
more
it's
trusting
okay.
the
Can I just
blind.
say this, and I'll shut my gob, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
reason I'm saying that is because you know what that Tory government was like, and I'm pretty
yeah, yeah,
sure you knew it at the time, right? And we could all see that they weren't using people that disagreed with them. So there were plenty of comments out there, and plenty of people that were well qualified to make judgments, not judgments, but to give realistic opinion on those COVID jabs that
yeah.
the government would not entertain simply because they didn't fly the flag. You know, and you knew what the government was like. I just wondered why you would put your faith in it.
Well, going back to what I said earlier on, you know, regarding religion and science, um, um, like where if I can say to you just a little story, take me about 10 seconds.
So,
Somebody says to me, "You don't believe in God?" I go, "No, I don't." Now, I believe if any of you guys who are on there now believe in God, I believe in one less than you. You don't believe in another 1,999 gods. I just don't believe in one. You don't believe in 2,000. Now, with the science books, with Alf and things like that, you could tomorrow get all the religious books in this world, every single religious book in this world, and burn them. Burn a lot of them. incinerate them. On the same day, get all the scientific books, every single science book, and burn all them. I guarantee you, in about 10 years' time, all the science books will come back exactly the same as they are today because of science. And yes, I have had the jabs because I believe in science. I've not believed in Tony Blair, the man in the Tory government, this bloke, that woman, this trust. I haven't believed them. I'm aware of them people helping their friends in high places to get good contracts. But when you're up against it and you're thinking of science and this particular drug is going to help you, if it doesn't help you, it will help you to stop it going on to somebody else. Because sometimes you're not just taking the medication for yourself, you're taking it for your poorly wife or your poorly brother to protect them as well. If they're vulnerable, they need somebody who took the jabs who are going to be safe around you.
But
That's
there's
what I mean.
but there's manipulation, isn't there? You know,
Yeah,
and I'm only playing devil's advocate here,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because you had an example of what Boris Johnson was like in 2015, and the lies that he told to get the country
Yeah.
out of the EU. So why would you believe anything that I'm not, again, I'm only being devil's advocate, club. I'm not having a go at you, but why would anyone believe anything that came out of that man's mouth? But you know, he was actually prime minister, you know, so it tells you a lot about the people of the
Uh,
country, doesn't it, really?
it wasn't him I was believing. It was two people next to him, the two scientists. Not Boris Johnson. I was very much listening
Who
to
was
the
that
two
little guy you
scientists.
used to have with him all the time? That little scientist bloke.
Oh, I forgot his name now. I'm trying to think of his name, Steve. I can't think of his name.
It was Chris Whitty and
That's right.
Val,
Yeah. Witty and Bones. Bones? No.
Val, yeah,
So you know
yeah.
they were obviously in his pocket, weren't they? I think
Oh,
that's how I
I mean,
seen it. You know.
to a degree. Maybe. I don't know.
right. So I know it's not COVID sort of thing. So you got
Mhm.
David Bell saying climate change is a load of bollocks. This what's it saying? Ed Miliband is talking a load of bollocks about this climate change
Yeah.
as they fly off to Davos, as they fly off
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's wrong with the Zoom call anyway for these people?
Exactly. Yeah.
But David Bellamy said it's a load of rubbish, and he got cancelled. Now, it's the same as so many other people who disagreed with or who questioned what was going on. They got cancelled. David Icke, love him or loathe him. They've done a
Mhm.
great job. To be fair, though, because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
some of the stuff that you know he said he's completely off his rocker, but they'll only concentrate on him wearing a purple shell suit and saying that the people are lizards. They won't listen to the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Jim Carrey, Hollywood, Jimmy Carr. Anybody who says anything against the narrative are not only ridiculed, they're shut down. And that's the worry when there's only all that we talked about in last week. You got an idiot like flipping Grant Shapps all of a sudden making out he's an epidemiologist and saying
Mhm.
follow the science. Sorry, science is an evolving thing. You've got opinions, you've got research going on. Well, not a lot of research went into knocking out so many COVID jabs, did they?
Couldn't have done, could it? You know, I mean, you know, that sort of research is like 5 year plus, isn't it? I think, you know,
Yeah,
because you have to get like the long term effects of these things as well, don't you?
Well, there's the XX the deaths that there's been. I mean, there's a bloke I can't remember his name now. Another MP that puts you off straight away. Um, but he's always brought up this thing about the excess deaths in young people who have been jabbed, and he's brought his sort of like charts out, and it's actually gone. It's gone through the roof, and
Yeah,
that's the thing. Suicides have gone through the roof as
yeah,
well because it's not just the physical thing that this COVID did. It's affected people mentally, and as Steve quite rightly put out, humans weren't made to be locked away, and some of the crazy things that we did. So I said, like, my lad couldn't play football because play cricket because apparently he could catch something off a cricket ball, but football was allowed to carry on and be its cash cow. Apart from the fact that you couldn't have people in there to start with, but hey ho, what you could do is have a picture of yourself on and have a cardboard cutout sat in sat in the ground, and you'd have to have stewards. You'd have to have this is how mentally or you had to have stewards in masks to stand and over these cardboard cutouts with of pictures on, whilst the 22 players would carry on playing football.
I think, Peter, sorry to get how would COVID been 30 years ago without social media?
Well, we would. That's the tool that they batter us with, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, going back to the mental health side of it.
Uh-huh.
I got a mate. He ran an autism shop.
Right.
It weren't sorry, Clive. It weren't so much to sell stuff, although it's nice if it was, but people would go there to talk. It was almost like people felt safe, and a lot of the people who use the autism shops either had autism themselves or were a bit lonely. Now he was forced to shut, whilst over the road, Wixies could be open, so people could, all go running around buying flipping paint and everything. And his business was closed down. There's just so much flipping bollocks that went on. But
Right.
the sorry, Dave. Just whilst I'm on a little rant now. But my whole thing is about with the COVID and the mental health side of things, that how much it's affected people, and people should be held accountable for this. They really should.
We go back to scope, don't we?
It's like I had a mate who used to see down the cricket. He died of infected blood. He was a haemophiliac, and he got but he never we never even knew what was going on, because he was sort of like he became HIV, and obviously that was a total taboo thing. You can't turn around and say, "Oh well, yeah, I've got HIV now," and everything. The government people they stood up in Parliament when the infected blood scandal had all broke and everything, and they said, "We're sorry." Throw a bit of money at it. They should be fucking locked in jail. I'm sorry, they should.
Yeah, you can't.
You
It's
say,
like you couldn't have had, for instance, I mean, you couldn't have the kind of atrocities that the Germans committed, right? Just to completely like, it's a different thing, I know, but the principles are the same. And if the Germans at the time had said, they could buy themselves out of it, or they could in some way make some kind of financial reparation, it wouldn't be accepted, would it? what's the difference between one death and 5 million deaths? I know there's a massive difference, but the point is, every life is a life.
Yeah.
Pete, you saying about that autism workshop. I've got a friend, and an even better example, and he'd set up in local village, Studley. He'd gotten some for allotments for Alzheimer's and dementia people. So out in the fresh air, doing them real good, and they, start remembering things. Oh, this is how my dad used to do it. This is how my granddad used to do it. COVID, can't do that anymore. So even outside on an allotment, no, you've got to lock them away. But those people, they didn't know why they were being locked. They got Alzheimer's, they got dementia, and they were being locked away, and they couldn't understand why. Why am I not going out on a Monday to the allotment?
I mean, the whole thing that, I think we're going to sort of start to wind this up now because we've had we had about an hour and a half last week and, another hour tonight. And I think, I mean, what, if you're an overview of it, Pete, from you, what would you say?
For me, absolutely. I personally think that people should be held responsible for a lot of the stuff that's gone on. It's just sort of like people have buried how much that they were affected by it. Like I say, I couldn't believe it. Sort of like, less than 5 years ago, we was in this madness, and it's almost like it's never happened. And it can't be well to suppress how you feel. I know it's changed. It's changed my personality. It really has. I just the biggest claim going to just laugh at anything. Now I'm so opinionated about things, and I'm either okay, it's helped in one thing is that I don't trust. I don't trust anybody, whether that's a good or a bad thing. But I'll research stuff. I'll look stuff up because I don't trust people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although, is that a good thing?
Pete, what do you think? I'm going to ask the same question to Dave and Clive as well. What would two things? What would your reaction be to another lockdown? And do you think that the country will accept another lockdown?
There'd be that much. Either the anti-lockdown would be that bad. The military response to it would be absolutely, off the scale. Which with my conspiracy theory hat on there, thinks that perhaps that's what they want.
Yeah, I mean they had an example of how they can control us, didn't they? Really, because it was full of control. I mean, it was more so here. Spain is, you probably know, there's two police forces in Spain. There's the what we call the police local, and there's also the Guardia Civil. So the Guardia Civil is an arm of the military. The police local are just your policemen, and it was the Guardia Civil that took control of the majority of control of the COVID epidemic here. But Spain is, don't forget, a country that's only been out of the hands of a dictator for like, I don't know, 80 years. So they're pretty used to being sort of told what to do. So it's slightly different here, I think. Although it's definitely coming out the other end of it now, they're definitely not a third world country. Spain is, and then in terms of your politics, Clive, like Spain is one of the few countries that's really, really pro-Palestinian. And says it, they're not scared to say, So for me, I think it probably might happen here, in terms of just the lockdown, but I don't know. I think it's affected people here, definitely. So what's your overview, Clive, boy?
Well, January, I'm quite critical of the working people, the working class people, because for centuries and centuries and centuries, and since the world began, you can control the working class people. Um, Up to today's present day, give them the World Cup every 4 years, give them the European Championships every couple of years, maybe throw in Wimbledon once a year, depending on the weather. Working people will be happy. Give the working people, I don't know, years ago, give the working people a CD player, a DVD player, give them a chance of a car, etc., etc. Now, where we've come now, and it's getting dangerous, unfortunately. I won't watch what I'm saying because the project is not a political platform. I don't want it to be because it's wrong if it is. But if I say to you, you can do the research, all of you. If I had 10,000 people on our research, I believe our country is big enough for everyone to come in, enjoy whatever they've got to do, etc., etc. I believe in the infrastructure being in place first, but one thing I've got to make aware, everybody, there's over 7 billion people on this planet, 7 billion people. Believe me or not, and this is not Clive Murphy talking, believe me or not, every single person on this planet can fit in Texas. We can all fit in Texas. Everybody. Every human being can also, in
COVID related now, Clive. Come on, what would happen if we had the COVID thing again?
Okay, if we had COVID again, sorry,
All right.
sorry, Peter, sorry, Dave, forgive me, sorry, I get all worked up. If we had COVID again, assuming it's not the same COVID, assuming it's not the same, we'd do different things. We'd have a different process, a different procedure, etc., etc. If the problem weren't COVID and it was something called then we'd have to get some more scientists to work on it to do another things. I find it hard, however much I disagree with them, Steve, I find it hard that a political party can mess around with. We've still got to listen to the scientists, the professionals, and if we have to go into a lockdown again, I believe we'd have to go into a lockdown again.
I think we've come out obviously understanding, Clive, that you're 100% there behind all of any of the like research and stuff, and fair scientific stuff. Fair enough, and obviously you have to believe what you're told. You can't check yourself. How about you, Dave?
Well, I'm sort of with Clive on that. If it was another COVID, I'm really hoping that from 5 years ago, that whichever government's in charge has learnt something.
Yeah.
That the science is there. So if it was another COVID, the science has now been developed over the 5 years. And as Clive said, if it's something else, then who knows? But yeah, if you've got to go into another lockdown and it saves life, if it saves lives, then I would go into another lockdown. But you've got to see the science of if we don't do this, 10 million are going to die. If we do this, we're just still going to lose 2.5 million. They've got to be bloody honest with us, haven't they? They've got to. Even if we go into lockdown, people are going to die, and they didn't tell us that.
Yeah,
They said,
I think that you'd have a bit of a. I think you and I'd be a little bit rebellious in another lockdown. I think Clive and Dave had just put their hands up and give the police their keys and say, let us know when we can come out. I'm only
I'd
being
still take,
facetious.
I'd still take my dog out for a walk 3 times a day.
Oh well, you couldn't have done that here either. So
Well, you could have done it here. You could
yeah,
get away with it.
I know it's just different, wasn't it? But listen, it's been interesting, you know, and I think I've took something out of it, you know, because I've learned stuff from it, definitely. And hearing other people's views makes a difference. But I think next week, I'd like us, if you're into it, of course, to have a look at the whole retirement thing. Seems that I think two of you are going to be retiring soon, and two of us have just started sort of our retirement. You started yours, Pete, haven't you? No? Yeah, you have.
Well, mine, I can retire next December,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
so I
it,
think that would be well worth doing because also looking at the group, our demographic, although it isn't actually uh, uh, quite as distinctive in terms of age as I thought it would be.
Mhm.
It's pretty much spread out between 20s to 35s, 35s to 55s, and 55s to 70 plus. So it is pretty much like a third of each in each group, if you like. But
Well,
so
the thing, Steve, sorry to jump in here. I'm, as we speak, tomorrow could be the day when my local pension office for Birmingham City Council is based in Wolverhampton. I've got to phone them and book an appointment. My aim, it's been brought on to me for 1 or 2 reasons. I'm aiming to retire on the 31st of December.
yeah.
In 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. So next week's meeting would be good. I've already been researching
Let me
working.
tell you something quickly. If you're
Yeah.
worried about the pensions office and that, now bearing in mind, I deal with them abroad. The pensions office actually are absolutely brilliant. They're well. That's how I found them. They've been really, really good. So I don't know, perhaps Pete, if you've had any dealings with them, but it's stuff we can talk about. I think when we get
Yeah.
into the subject next week. So perhaps if we can put a Tuesday next week on it again, and you guys let me know what your times are and how your hours are, and I'm going to go and have something to eat. And I think Pete looks like he wants to as well. And I think Dave's gone for his.
I'm
Uh,
definitely not going for a jab. That's for sure.
I
but
have yours for you,
yeah,
Pete. I have yours for you.
You have it. You double up, mate.
guys, thanks
What do
very
you
much for your time again, and we'll do it next week. It's been interesting, and we'll put this out. This will be out next couple of hours. I'll take my time and do it tonight for you. All right. Listen, thanks very much, guys. Been interesting. I'll see you soon.
Steve, can I say thank you to you as well, Steve, and organising this, and thanks, Peter, for coming on straight after work. I've been to work, and thank you to Dave, wherever he's gone. I don't know whether he's come
Dinner.
from work or he's just had a day off, and he's there, but he's gone. Okay.
He's
See you
checking
guys.
the dog before he gets locked down.
Yeah. See you
See you,
later.
guys.
There are then, Steve. See
See
you,
you,
everyone.